Okay, I call the regular meeting of the Milliken Board of Trustees for August 11th, 2021 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the acting town clerk please call roll?
Yes, ma'am. Trustee Meisner?
Here.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Here.
Mayor Austin?
Here.
Absent is Trustee Granquist, Trustee Long, and Trustee Wakeman, and Town Clerk Carrie Reinbarger.
Thank you. Does anyone have any additions or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
I move to approve the agenda as outlined.
Second.
Acting town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Meisner?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next, I am proud to announce we have a swearing-in ceremony for our 2 new Go Mill committee members. Please commence.
Mr. Hayes, want to come up? Do you want me to do them at the same time?
Sure.
Okay. So repeat after me. I, Brandon Hayes,
I'm Brandon Hayes, Live Research.
do solemnly affirm
Do solemnly affirm
that I will support and enforce
I will support and enforce
the Constitution and laws of the United States of America
the Constitution and laws of the United States of America
and of the state of Colorado
and of the state of Colorado,
and the ordinances of the town of Milliken,
ordinances of the town of Milliken,
and shall faithfully perform
shall faithfully perform
to the best of my abilities
to the best of my abilities
the duties of the great outdoors of Milliken.
the duties of the great outdoors of Milliken.
Congratulations.
Welcome aboard, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is citizens' comment. Do we have any citizens' comments? Anybody that wants to speak before the board? Okay, we do have citizens' comment? Okay. Citizens' comment is the point in the meeting where the public is invited to address the town board on any items except agenda items for which there is a public hearing. Public comment on public hearing items will occur during the scheduled public hearing. All comments should be directed to the town board. There is a 3-minute limit per speaker. Please approach the podium, state your name and address for the record. There we go.
To this agenda, okay?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm Krista Labor with Premier Mortgage Group, and we're here to allow Metro DPA to come into Milliken. So Metro DPA is a down payment assistance program for first-time home buyers, and it can go up to 6% down payment assistance. They have higher income limits than the state, which is CHAFA, which is the state down payment assistance. So it's in Johnstown and surrounding areas, so we are just trying to get it into Milliken.
What was it? Name and
address?
address? Oh, Alfredo Esparza, 404 35th Avenue in Greeley, Colorado. I am also a supporter of this loan program. We see definitely the benefit for what is needed for customers in order to be able to get into new homes or their first-time home buyers. Income limits are a little bit higher, and then we're able to choose whichever different amount of help that they need as far as percentage wise. So, and it is forgivable after 3 years. They don't necessarily have to be there for the 3 years, and each year that each month that passes by, a fraction of that whole down payment assistance is forgiven. So if a person is buying it for the, average American stays in their home about 5 years. So this would definitely be beneficial for them because they wouldn't have to necessarily pay that down payment assistance back. And versus the one that Krista was talking about, CHAFA, you do have to pay that back. So we see that as a really good benefit. It is a little bit more money monthly, but we see the benefit of not having to pay, down the line whenever they decide to refinance.
Thank you. Of course. Any other comments? Citizens' comment is now closed. We'll move on to the approval of minutes. Is there any discussion or comments on the minutes of July 28th, 2021? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
Move we approve the minutes of July 28th, 2021.
Second?
Acting Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Meisner?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next is the consent agenda. We have a memorandum of understanding with the Glenn A. Jones Memorial Library. I'll take a motion.
I move that we accept the consent agenda.
Second?
Acting Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Meisner?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, we'll have the town administrator's report.
I thought maybe you forgot about me. But
Yeah.
thank you very much for passing that memorandum of understanding. It almost ended completely not too long ago, so this is really a great thing. So thank you. Just to update you, some of the things that have been going on, the flashing school zone signs have been installed near Civica and near the KQA schools. The Civica ribbon cutting will be held at 4 p.m. on Beef and Bean Day, August 14th. Conversations and negotiations are still occurring between ourselves and the City of Greeley regarding an amendment on the water treatment intergovernmental agreement with Greeley. Scott Holwick, Forrest Leaf, Don Stonebrick, and myself will be meeting with Randy Ray, who is with Central Weld Water Conservancy District, to speak about the first use water and see where that goes. That's the water that we've had received in 2004. So okay. I will update the board on what we learn on that. As I said, Beef and Bean Day is this Saturday. Our staff has been working tirelessly on preparing for this event, so I'd like to pass on my personal compliments to them for how hard they have been getting this ready. We're short-staffed out in our Public Works department, so they've been working very hard. I've also received the same from the Milliken Events Committee, that they want to say thank you to the staff for what they're doing. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. So tagging on to the end of that, as we were talking about in the work session, should be a very successful event. It is a lot of work for our staff and committee. Besides the parade, we are bringing in 42 teams to compete professionally in the Kansas City barbecue competition, 7 teams to compete in the backyard barbecue. We still have some applications coming in for the kids queue. There's over 70 vendors that will be on site selling. Many of them are local people with their crafts and wares, so we really want to support them. In addition to the youth activities, we'll have a foam pit, dren shack, Hot Wheels races, kinetic sand for them to play in, youth cornhole, spike ball, volleyball for the adults, cornhole for the adults, horseshoes, beer garden. And so there should be a little something for everyone, and hopefully they will come out and enjoy it. So, all righty. With that being said, We'll go over to the action agenda. We have our first item, the Metro DPA proposal from Denver. Matt Gould, Town Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor Austin. This is a proposal that came to the board back in April for the town to participate in a program that provides down payment and other assistance to applicants within the city, the town of Milliken. This is a program sponsored by the city and county of Denver, and a fairly substantial amount of information has been circulated to the board for review. We do have some gentlemen in the audience who are here to answer any questions that we may have. Before you are red line versions of the proposed participation agreement and resolution, as well as the final drafts that staff has submitted to you and that have been approved by Metro DPA personnel. I do want to highlight something that may be important to the board as votes are cast, and that is this appears to be this is a contract, and under section 3116-108 of the Colorado Revised Statutes, it would require a majority of the board to pass. So we have only 4 in attendance. I just want to highlight that so everybody knows the importance of their vote. I'm happy to attempt to answer any questions I have, and I know these gentlemen would be happy to answer questions.
Why is this in the form of a contract, though, and not just an IGA?
Well, it is an IGA, and an IGA is a contract.
Oh.
I did very quickly review section 29.1203 of the statutes, which relates to intergovernmental agreements. The word contract is used recurringly in that statute, and there's no special provision for a different vote than is provided in section 3116-108.
Okay, because we usually list them as intergovernmental agreements, but okay, understand.
I think this came in without that designation, but in essence, that's what it is. It identifies itself as a delegation and participation agreement, and it is with the city and county of Denver. So in effect, it is an intergovernmental agreement.
Okay. Questions from the board? Trustee or Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
I don't have any questions. I like the new language that was added that takes care of my concerns that I had earlier. So other than that, I have nothing.
Okay. Trustee Meisner?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Trustee Rodriguez?
I have no questions.
Okay. Hearing nothing further, is there any discussion at this point? Or I'll take a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 21-14, a resolution authorizing and approving the town of Milliken's participation in the Metro Mortgage Assistance Plus program and authorizing the execution of the delegation and participation agreement and other documents in connection therewith, and authorize the mayor and the town clerk to execute the delegation and participation agreement with the city and the county of Denver.
Second.
Acting Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Meisner?
No.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes. So the motion fails?
The motion fails.
Okay. All righty. All right, next item on the agenda is the discussion agenda for the mobility pilot presentation from North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thanks for having us. My name is Hannah Johnson. I'm the Mobility Coordinator with the North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization.
And I'm Corey Schmidt. I'm the mobility manager at the North Front Range MPO. And we're looking forward to speaking with you all this evening about this exciting new mobility option coming to the town of Milliken, as well as how that fits into the larger goals and vision that we have for the region at the MPO. So as a quick background, the North Front Range MPO is the federally designated regional transportation planning agency for an area roughly bounded by Fort Collins, Eaton, LaSalle, and Berthoud, including the town of Milliken, serving about 525,000 people. We're responsible for facilitating funding for federal transportation projects, working on something called a coordinated plan that helps support the transportation needs of older adults and people with disabilities, and we do that on behalf of the city of Fort Collins, city of Loveland, and the cities of Greeley and Evans. One of our programs is our mobility program, and that has a goal of increasing mobility and access in all areas of Larimer and Weld counties, and that includes beyond just those very bureaucratic government borders. And we do that through a variety of methods. We're working on implementing a one-call, one-click center, which we'll discuss briefly in the next slide, hosting travel trainings to help people become familiarized with how to take public transit and other transportation options in the community, distributing rider's guides such as this that really illustrate what types of mobility options are available for members of the community, providing technical assistance to organizations and communities to increase service or access new vehicles, and then working together to really be that core regional coordination and planning piece to bring all the stakeholders to the table to really make the most use of our resources. So the name of that One Call, One Click Center, which is really creating a central hub for people to access transportation options across Larimer and Weld County, is called Ride NOCO, connecting you in Northern Colorado. And we think that slogan really embodies the two overarching goals of this mobility program, which is to improve individual mobility, especially for vulnerable populations such as older adults, individuals with disabilities, lower income individuals, and people that may not speak English as a first language, while also focusing on that regional mobility piece through enhanced coordination and collaboration between public and private transportation providers, especially in rural portions of Larimer and Weld County, outside of the core zones like Fort Collins and Greeley and so on. Which is why we're really excited. The main reason why we're here to talk to you all tonight is about one of those rural transportation projects that we're already making progress on. Briefly, there's a whole bunch of goals that the Planning Council of the North Front Range MPO set out for this program to achieve, make it easy for people to find transportation options, market the program so people are aware that transportation options are available. How do we better support existing transportation providers to provide more efficient and coordinated services? How do we develop a program that brings value to the region and is sustainable? And then implementing that One Call, One Click Center in Northern Colorado. And kind of taking a phased approach to bringing that into fruition. The phase that we're in right now, phase one, is really that introduction piece, having a website and a call center for people to discover transportation options across the region. Moving into next year in that second phase, trip discovery, to create the ability for people to find and plan trips across public transit, nonprofit transportation providers, taxi providers, all in a central place utilizing GTFS Flex technology. And then finally, that full implementation phase in 2023 is trip scheduling. So how can you find what transportation options are available, plan the trip, and then book and pay for that ride all in one place? And really provide that flexibility for different transportation providers to share rides if they're not able to serve that client. And throughout all this, really focusing on that data collection piece. Where are people's mobility needs being met and where do gaps remain? So then we can then come back to the table and strategize and prioritize to fill those gaps, which is the main reason why we're here tonight. And I'll hand it over to my colleague, Hannah, to talk about the VIA Mobility Pilot.
Thanks so much. So we're really excited that there's going to be a new transportation service serving the Milliken area and the general southwestern Weld County area. I want to introduce you to the transportation provider, which is VIA Mobility Services. They are a nonprofit ride provider that has been based in Boulder County since 1979, so they're definitely experts in what they do. They actually recognize the gaps in transportation here in southwestern Weld County and approached our organization to do this pilot program to see if we, is there actually a large demand for transportation services here. They have the slogan "Mobility for Life," and I think they do a really good job doing that in their daily activities, ensuring that people can remain living independently and able to access services. So going over some of the pilot service details, the pilot is running, it started August 2nd, so a couple weeks ago, and it's running through the end of 2021. It's going to be running on weekdays from 8 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. at no cost to riders. It's going to be serving all ages and abilities. The vehicle is wheelchair accessible. The only caveat is riders have to live within the service area, which I'm about to show you on a map. So this map, if a rider lives in the blue service area, including anywhere right in Milliken, all the way down through Fort Lupton, and then over to Berthoud, all of those communities are served. So the rural portions of Berthoud, Fort Lupton, Gilcrest, Johnstown, Lochbuie, Meade, Milliken, Platteville. The VIA can give people rides within the service area itself, and then also to Brighton, anywhere in Boulder County. So City of Boulder, Longmont, Lafayette, Superior, etc. Anywhere in the Greeley-Evans area, and then Loveland and Centerra. So obviously this can really increase people's mobility options, accessing medical appointments or family or groceries. So I'd like to start this slide off by saying we've already received some people who've signed up for the service. The first person who actually signed up for the service was a man who lived in Milliken and wanted to access the YMCA so that he could go, go to recreate there over in Johnstown. So he was the first person to sign up for the pilot, which is exciting. How people can sign up is they just need to call VIA. They'll talk to a mobility specialist who can really assess what needs that rider has. Then they enter that rider into their system, making sure they understand the needs of that rider. They request that riders put in their ride requests 1 to 7 days in advance so that they can make sure they can serve that request. And then at that point, once the rider is already in the system, VIA will make sure that they know exactly, this is how we pick you up, this is how it goes when if you are only going to be at the grocery store for 30 minutes or an hour, they provide all those details at that time. I have some handouts that if you want to have their phone number for later, I'd be happy to provide that for people after the meeting. We also wanted to make sure that we were getting data to understand how to best serve people and what the transportation needs were in this area. So we did a survey last month prior to the launch of the service. We received 30 responses, most of which were folks who lived in the Milliken and Johnstown area. 70% of responses were age 60 and older. They identified their transportation needs were primarily to get to medical and dental appointments, accessing groceries and nutritional services, and then getting to community centers like the senior centers and the rec centers. The top requested destinations were the Greeley-Evans-Kersey area, Johnstown and Milliken, and then Fort Collins, Longmont, Loveland, and Centerra. I do want to point out that at this time, the service is not going to be going to Fort Collins, but obviously this is a pilot, so there's room for growth, and hopefully VIA would be able to provide that in the future. I also just want to talk about, we've been doing community outreach for this program. I went to the Milliken Senior Center about a month ago, and that's how we got connected to presenting here today. We're really trying to develop these relationships with folks who are, working with the folks who might need this the most. Focusing on centers of community like the senior centers where people are accessing the resources they need, and we're using a variety of media outlets to try having as many people aware of the service as possible. And I will be at the Beef and Bean Day this weekend, so I'll have a booth and would be happy to talk to anybody and everybody about this new service because we're really excited about it. Ultimately, the goal of the service, or the goal of the pilot, is to have a long-term transportation option in the Southwest World and the Southeastern Larimer County to connect people between communities, because obviously we're getting more and more regional, and that's really important to keep people happy and healthy. Thanks so much for listening to our presentation. Here's our contact information.
Thank you for allowing us to speak tonight.
And we'd be happy to answer any questions anyone has.
I don't have any. The board?
No. My only question is just the safety of senior citizens and those who are disabled. I mean, how do you ensure that they're going to be okay and safe?
Yeah, and that's paramount. VIA has a really long track record of providing fantastic service for older adults and people with disabilities. They're based in Boulder County, but now they complement RTD's Accessoride service in Metro Denver. They do some work in the mountain communities in Gilpin County now. And I just know from their track record that they really prioritize the safety of riders.
They also provide door-through-door service to ensure that people are both, coming out of their homes safely as well as getting into, wherever they're going safely.
All right. Any other questions from anybody?
Don't have a question, but it sounds to me like a marvelous idea.
Thank you.
We're really excited about it. Well, thank you so much. Thanks.
Okay.
And we'll leave some rider's guides out at the end of the table if anyone's interested in just seeing what other transportation options are available in Northern Colorado.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you again.
Thank you. Okay. All right, next item on the agenda, the owner claim regarding 11270 Highway 60. I'll take a motion to go into executive session.
I move in pursuant to section 24-6-402-4E of the Colorado Revised Statute for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiation, developing strategies for negotiations, and instructing negotiators to respect the owner's claim of compensation for sidewalk right-of-way at 11270 Highway 60.
I second it.
Acting Town Clerk, please take a vote.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Trustee Miesner,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich,
Yes.
and Mayor Austin.
Yes. Let the record reflect, going into executive session, board members will be present, along with Town Attorney Matthew Gould, Town Administrator Cheryl Pell, and Community Development Director over there, Pepper McClanahan. And we can proceed with, Matthew, do we need our acting town clerk present for?
I just would like to have somebody run the recorder,
Okay.
and it would be fine for Tammy to be present, as far as I think.
Add on to that acting town clerk Tammy Burns will be present.
Thank you.
Okay, we will adjourn, clear the room, and go. And that answers that question. Okay, the next item on the action agenda is the status of 1301 Broad Street, which is commonly known as the grain elevator. I'll take a motion for executive session.
I move we go into executive session pursuant to section 24-6-4024B of the Colorado Revised Statutes for the purpose of receiving legal advice from the town attorney on specific legal questions related to the status of ownership of 1301 Broad Street and duties owed to Mr. Peter Hunsaker.
Second.
Acting Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Meisner,
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Let the record reflect in the executive session will be the town board, the town attorney Matthew Gould, and the town administrator Cheryl Powell.
What?
And acting town clerk Tammy Burns.
Yeah.
I think we need Pepper on this one, too.
Apologies, we will now add on the community development director, Pepper McClanahan. Okay, I think we got it covered.
Okay, thank you. So now we're off.
Thank you. Seeing as there's no more business before the board, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're out. Good night.